here.
We are here. So I'm super pumped, everyone, because, well, first of all, welcome to another episode of Happy Hour with HatchMan. Today I have a very, very special guest. This is Travis Hyre of Travis Construction. Travis is the man that made this bar happen. He's the guy that brought my dream to reality. So I'm super pumped to have you on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks for the free drink before I came.
Drinks always free in HatchMan bar, especially if you're bringing your own.
Yeah.
So Travis is, you do a lot of things, man. So I know you've got your construction company, but you've done all kinds of things in between. So tell us a little bit about who you are and kind of what you do.
Yeah. So background is just kind of really a young age, very entrepreneurial. Figured out at a pretty early age I was bad at school, which kind of retrospectively regret that to a certain degree. But found construction because I couldn't find anything else that I could do with no high school education. Worked a lot of different trade jobs, and then basically 2011 came, and I was in the trades, and there was all these real estate owned REO properties. So you probably remember some of that.
Oh yeah.
So I had the ability to sell stuff, but I didn't know how to do anything. And so basically, I found people that needed all these houses remodeled, and then I just kind of found somebody that could help do it.
Okay.
And so a friend of mine, who actually is still a friend, his name is Butch, and he owns Farley and Sons Contracting. I came and worked for him, and was like, "Hey, how about can we do this job?" He's like, "Well, yeah, we can do that,"
Yeah.
And so I was just his sidekick for years, and took out all kinds of practice. I apologize if anybody owns one of these REO properties, because like so many of the things were just pure practice. And so basically, through that, a lot of the folks that were buying homes ended up buy the house and they want something else done. And so then they're like, "Hey, how about can you do a bathroom remodel?" I'm like, I don't know, try it.
Sure.
And so a lot of experience. Took out practice on my own house. Pretty embarrassing, but I built a shower at my house and it flooded the whole house. And so I got paid from the insurance company to redo it again. But yeah, that was the start, in the construction world.
Yeah. And how old are you when you did that? 11 or 2011?
I'm bad at the math, so I have to remember a lot of beers since then. So basically, I was probably like, I don't know, 24 or something like that.
It's pretty impressive though, because I mean, I know I look back at my life at 24. Like I was one of those just go to school, get good grades. I'm supposed to go to college. I realized I fucking hated college, so and that's how I got into banking. Because I was like, oh, the bank's where the money's at, so I'll just start working there. So I wish I would have figured a lot of that stuff out sooner in life. So, because again, like you said, a lot of it is just practice, right? You got to get your feet wet somewhere, get started. So good for you for finding that passion early.
Yeah, no, and I've been fortunate, I appreciate that. And I had a lot of mentors too. And so like when I would make mistakes, or like I remember when I started my first company, I didn't know anything. I was like, I got a business card. And they're like, that's not necessarily what it is, right? And so call a friend, "Hey, how does this work? Or how does that work?" And so basically then I was able to start Hyre Construction.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like the first time I had just a couple dollars,
Yeah.
got business cards, a couple more dollars, website, a couple more dollars. I remember at that time, I actually was buying and selling cars, but I was buying and selling the car I drove. So there would be time I have a job scheduled like next week, but I don't even have a truck to do it because I was flipping that car to make money, And so basically that was kind of the start of it. So I had a lot of mentors. And then after that spawned out and ended up starting another company that was a complete failure. Was called Drywall Only.
Okay.
And so it was like, oh, we do really good at drywall. And so we started this company, complete failure. And then started Chandler Plumbing, which is still going on. I know actually Frank, who owns Chandler Plumbing, but he just recently sold it. So that was kind of cool. But that's who did the plumbing here, was Frank.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it was, did that. And then when COVID happened, I came back from Hawaii and I was like, man, I really got to get serious about like making some money.
Yeah.
And came back and all our construction customers 100% went away, So came back, no work, nothing to do. So
this was during COVID?
During COVID, it was literally, March 13th or whatever it was, came back. And I found out because I went to the store to get ground beef.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's none, And so
back whenever it was clearing the
construction was gone.
Right.
And so I always had sold cars illegally, right? On the side, So I borrowed some money from a friend and I started a car dealership. And that was also a complete, utter failure. So I think in the process of that, Action Jackson Auto Sales. Yeah, you probably see some of the. Yeah, that was, the thing is I could go into detail, but I didn't have any mentors. That was the number one reason that failed. And I called other car dealers and was like, listen, I'm new at this. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me, And basically, nobody would help. And so that was kind of the extent of that. And it was an absolute, and neither one?
My mic is on. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. All right.
Uh-oh, technical difficulty.
Technical difficulty. Yours is on.
See.
Okay. All right. Well, at least you got to hear from Travis. So
yeah,
sorry
so
about
long
that, guys.
Story short, the car dealership. You should get into IT. You're so good at this.
No,
Have you considered switching from
right? Yeah, we're gonna stay out of IT.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. But yeah, so long story short, Action Jackson Auto Sales. I think I bought about 50 cars.
Okay.
I made money on 2.
Okay.
But by the time I paid the sales tax, it was a loss.
Yeah.
And
it was dead.
most at the end, I ended up with like 6 cars that I just had to get rid of. And so I think I lost about like $50,000 selling about 50 cars.
Ouch.
So I averaged like negative $1,000 a car. So back in construction, still here. So
stick with what you know.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's important though, because I feel like there are, and I want to touch base on a couple of things that you said. So when you first got in the business, there were a couple things that you realized that it's taken me years to figure out, but I know that are successful. So the first one is you invested in yourself. So anytime you'd make some money, you buy business cars, you may do this. So that was what I heard there.
100%. Never went on any kind of just work, and then started.
Yeah.
But then business cards were like $400.
Oh, sure. Yeah, they're not cheap.
That was about $400 more than I had.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was every dollar. So I was buying business cards. It wasn't like 400. It was every dollar.
Yeah. No, that's wild, dude. But I think that's important because so many businesses are afraid to even, or like individuals, if they want to get something started, they're afraid of that failure. You are not afraid of failure, and I'm just
so good at it. It's natural to me.
It's okay to fail. I think as human beings, we just hate that idea of failure. But it's like we learn from it, and there's no such thing as like failure that's just absolutely detrimental. Like you said, you can start another business, it loses money, whatever. Like there's ways out of things, but. And that's such a cool mindset to have. And it's funny you mentioned the car flipping thing. So when I was in the bank, I was doing sales and I was realizing I was liking it, but there's only so much money you can make there. And so what I was doing to make money on the side was flipping cars as well. I also did it the illegal way, found out the hard way.
The only way to make money doing it illegal. Man. So we shouldn't say that, but like if you're going to pay sales tax and like all that other stuff, don't even try.
Yeah, I was buying. So what I would do is I would search the ads on Craigslist for anything that was in Spanish. And it was kind of like that,
you speak Spanish now?
Yeah, because I speak Spanish. Okay. So I'm fluent in Spanish. So I was like, and it was kind of a shitty way to do things because I was looking for people that like needed cash fast, that were down on their luck, didn't know how to market their vehicle.
Must sell, that's the key.
Yeah,
you don't
must
care what
sell.
It is, as long as it's gotta
exactly.
Go, it's fine.
So I bought a ton of like Honda Civics and like Chevy Silverados that were just honestly in pretty good shape. 99% of the time, all I would do was buy them cash and then give them a really good car wash, detail the inside, take really good photos, and then post it for $2,000 or $3,000 more than what I paid for it. And I'd usually make, it wasn't a lot of money, but
Hondas don't break down. So that's the brilliant thing about it. You're never gonna like got a Honda and it's gonna need a motor. It might need some cleaning.
So yeah, but I found out because what I found out I had to do is you have to get them first. You don't put the title in your name. You just leave it open.
Can't make money.
Then you sell.
Jump the title, which is the illegal part of it.
Right.
That's the illegal part.
That's
so
the illegal
and selling cars not illegal.
Right.
Not putting it in your name and not paying this. That's the illegal part.
That's the illegal part, and that's what I had found out. Well, because a few I had started putting them in my name and then selling them, but then I got like a letter from the DMV that was like, "You've sold more than such and much." I think it's like 4 or 5 cars a year,
right? But they really don't enforce it too. But some of you get unlucky. But I have a friend.
I got yelled at. I was like,
because like collectors, like I got a friend with 40 cars. But
okay,
and then,
that's fair. So. No, that's wild. So yeah, just funny story. We both car flippers, man. It was it's a good way to get started. I mean, it's like
it's a low bar of entry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a ton of money.
If you got money, you can put your effort into it, sweat equity, even if you need something to be like, if you find something that needs to be fixed up. And so I always respect. I'm a very entrepreneurial person.
Yeah,
more self-employed than entrepreneur. I mean, I'm not Elon Musk by any stretch, but for so many people that, hey, I want to make some extra money. Dude, you buy that car on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, your weekend shot,
right?
But you can make some money.
Make some money,
and then parlay it. I mean, if you could make an extra $500 a weekend, $2,000 a month,
absolutely,
$100 a year, And then there's some big hits. Like there's times where, like flipping cars, I've made maybe my best one ever was like $4,500, but it was like bought it, drove it to there, dropped it off, and made $4,500.
Okay, but so yeah, time. Like if you look at the time, the amount of money that you spent, and then I would start to do things like, okay, if I saw a car I would like and it was a good deal, I would buy it, drive it for a little bit, and then just resell it for either the same price that I paid for it or a little bit over. And then I'm like, I could drive that car for free for 6 months or whatever. So
and the thing about it is, I don't know if we came here to talk about flipping cars illegally, but like the thing about it is if you enjoy doing it, why not? It's fun in the process.
Absolutely.
Let's say like people say, okay, cars are a depreciating asset and all this stuff, right? Which lately it hasn't been, but typically or historically, cars are a depreciating asset. But if you find one you like and you get to drive it around,
and
then not only not lose money, but then make money, Okay, you know
Right?
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Who's losing there?
Yeah,
you know?
what's the problem?
You know, so I don't know.
But I feel like there's a lot of things that are like that. It's like if you just open your eyes to the amount of opportunity that it's out there. So like you with construction, you enjoyed construction, it was something you were good at, and then you just, you know, you turned it into other things, started a plumbing company, a drywall company, and not, even though not all of them were successful, you still learn from each one of those things.
Learn what not to do.
Learn what not to do, right?
That's my whole.
And that's my whole thing. It's like you just have to take action. Like the people that just, I literally cannot stand the people that sit and talk about everything they're going to do and then they never fucking do anything. Like,
yeah, and that goes on more times than not. It's like there's a quote like the greatest step ever taken is like not taking a step or something type of thing. But I have friends that are that way, and I remember some billionaire. This wasn't my idea. He's like, it's like a carousel, and there's all these horses, and they're all pretty good. Just get on one.
Just pick one.
And like time goes by quick. You know, I got when I started my company, you know, X amount of 12 years ago or whatever. I had friends at that time saying, hey, I'm going to do this too. And they're still sitting there thinking about what they're going to do.
Right.
Now, I went out and failed maybe, right?
Sure.
So they said, well, you went and failed. But I went and failed, came back, failed, came back. All of a sudden, hey.
But you didn't stop.
Finding something to work.
Right.
But now all those mistakes, if I'm like, I'm getting ready to actually go into another space now.
Yeah.
All these mistakes that I made, car dealership, trading stocks, real estate, you know, I just, in this market, lost money on a house that you did the mortgage on.
That's right.
You know, you know, I've even lost money, you know, with a home in this market. But anyway, I've learned through the process, and now I'm getting ready to do something different, and hopefully some of those mistakes will pay for it.
That's awesome.
Whereas if you're just kind of at the house kicking it, you know, nobody's going to break into your house and teach you these lessons. You know?
100%. So. And then you touched on something else too, mentorship. So that's something that I've really found really powerful over the last couple of years. Like, because we can only go so far on our own, right? Like you can make mistakes, you can figure stuff out. You're a pretty smart dude. Like we're hard workers, but if you really want to get to that next level, whatever it is you're looking for, you have to find someone who's basically already done it. And that's kind of the idea of like when you use the word mentor, it's like someone that's doing what you want to do. So let them teach you and just do what they say. And so that's for me, that's really valuable to have a mentor. So tell me about some of your mentors and how that's kind of impacted, you know, you getting into other businesses.
Yeah, I mean, it's priceless, right? So here's the bottom line, right? Humans, unfortunately, are pretty toxic. You are, I am, that's part of the nature, right? There's this concept that there's a bucket of crabs and then basically one crab tries to get out, the rest will try to pull it back, you know?
Right.
And so the issue is if me and you are, let's say, peers, and we're sitting around chopping up about what we're about to do, and I'm like, hey, I want to go do, name it, you're probably going to be negative. Like, well, if it was such a good idea, why didn't everybody do it? Blah, blah, blah.
Fair.
But if you find somebody that's been down that path, they can give you the encouragement to say, hey, it might not be easy.
Right.
You might have to work a little bit extra. But it is doable. And matter of fact, I've done it. And let me tell you, this is how I did it.
Love it.
And I don't care who you are. Everybody needs help. You know, even the most successful folks in the world, they're not getting there by themselves. And
I agree.
You know, Henry Ford had the biggest board of advisors, blah, 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 right?
Yep.
And then it's also your obligation to find people that truly do need help, and you help those folks up too. You know, so for you, maybe it's a junior mortgage person. Hey, I'm just getting into the industry. What do you think about this? And you're like, don't just do refis because that game might end, right?
100%.
Focus on your purchases, right? There's people getting into construction and they ask me something, you know, like, what do you think to do? Put your client's best interest first. Focus on the money. You're going to get, you know.
Agreed.
And but yeah, if you could find somebody that's down the road, just slightly farther than you, helping hand up, helping hand down. That's priceless. You can't pay for it.
No.
If you're humble enough to take the advice. A lot of people say, hey, I'm not going to listen to that person. Well, then you have to go pay for that mistake yourself.
Exactly. That's your
but
choice.
If you spend X amount of dollars getting an education or whatever the case is, and you can download that to me for a more affordable free rate or some bourbon, that's worth it, right?
Hell yeah.
You know, so.
No, and that's what it comes down. I actually had someone else give me that exact same advice at a conference I was at earlier in the year. They said, you always want to have, two main people in your life. Number one, your mentor who you're learning from, and then someone that you can also teach. So someone that is just, like you said, a little bit behind you that you can also take under your wing and teach them that's willing to learn. And that's how you really, really get things. Because by teaching it, I feel like you learn it even better. Like, because then it's that whole, well, I got to make sure I practice what I preach.
Yeah.
And because again, motivation is one of those things that it comes and goes, right? We've all had those days where we wake up and we don't want to do shit.
Sure.
But it's the discipline is what gets us to the finish line. So,
or even if you just had a big success,
right?
It makes it tough to wake up in the morning and want to go do anything. Hey, I got a couple $100. What am I?
Yeah.
I don't need the money.
Well, and I think that happens. So especially in the loan world, right? So like, real estate and loans these last couple of years,
people are just calling
this year.
You're not doing nothing. The phone
it was
rings.
crazy. I didn't have to do shit. Like
just fielding phone calls.
Yeah, I was just picking up the phone all day, every day, and it was easy. And I will admit, I got a little complacent because it was easy.
But
I
how
didn't
many
have
of
to
those
do a
folks
lot.
left at 5 and did that thing? And right now they're going to do a career transition, right? Hey,
For
this
sure.
this ain't for me anymore, right? As where
We're
those
seeing a
times I
ton of
remember
it.
because I was your customers, but I know how hard you work. But a lot of folks that didn't do that took it for a grain of salt, didn't
sure.
put their customers' best interest in mind, didn't call those people back,
Right.
and now they're probably calling those same folks saying, "Hey, are you guys hiring?" Right? Type of thing.
They're hurting. No, it's true. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. No matter where you are, whether you're you're failing a business or you're uber successful, there's certain activities and things that you need to be doing every single day to just keep it going. And and it's interesting how that works, because it's not to say you can't sit back and enjoy things every once in a while, but
you don't want to be ungrateful.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But you always want to be
miss the ride,
right? But you always want to be pushing forward, like looking for whatever's next.
It doesn't have to be everything.
Absolutely.
Like you might read a book, and it could be a fiction book, but read.
Absolutely.
Hey,
that's the mental stuff, right?
You
it's like
may
drinking,
exercise,
right?
You're gonna go for a walk. I mean, sure, is that an ultra marathon? No, but it's something. It all adds up.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, if we do this every single day, and that's all we do.
Don't stay in school. Don't drink so much. You're going to be like this one day, and you're going to regret it.
But no, you're a good example, because we can enjoy these moments and then realize that we still can go out and hustle and get work done, and that's what it's all about, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's part of it, right?
So,
for sure.
That's awesome. Well, tell me something about your new ventures. I know you said you're looking into some new things.
Yeah,
so
I actually,
if it's okay to share.
Still. This is like, no, it's fine. So the problem is I can't sit still. Most people would say, hey, this construction thing seems to be working pretty well. Why don't you kick it?
Yeah.
Go and, blah, blah, blah. But I always have to try something new. I've got a really good friend of mine that is an expert personal trainer. I mean, this is about, to me, as good as it gets as far as that goes. But at any rate, he's kind of offered me an opportunity to team up. He needs a bigger space in a different location. There's some things I could bring from the construction side to build out a really cool space. So really considering opening up a gym. That market's extremely saturated. Right. But it's good because it's two things, right? If there was no Pepsi, there could be no Coke. Or when Coke maybe came first. If there's no Coke, there can't be a Pepsi.
Right.
There's got to be a market in order to get a market share. So some people are pessimistic. Hey, this thing's saturated. No, that's the proof of concept. People want to work out, not just today, but probably for the future.
Exactly.
People are willing to pay to work out. Right.
100%.
And so, to me, open a gym makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. But anyway, it's a big jump. It's a big risk financially.
Of course. It's always risks.
The failures start adding up to where at some point my friends and family can give up. Like, okay, come on.
I'll still believe in you, man. I believe in you.
Yeah,
I got you.
But like I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he's like, in 5 years after the gym fails, you're going to start a parking lot paving company, because that'll be a byproduct. We need the parking lot paved, and I'm going to figure out how to do that.
Why not?
So anyway, but that's kind of what the next thing is. So we're looking at some space now in the kind of Ahwatukee, South Chandler area. So
nice. Well, and like you said, because, the markets can be saturated, but just like with construction, there's a million different construction companies.
Realtors, there's 70,000. How many loan officers?
Oh my God, there's tons of them, right? So why does somebody come to me? Why does somebody go to you? And so that's where I think
some people are better served with other people. Don't be so.
I agree.
Like as much as are we allowed to say other companies' names? It's not a big deal.
Yeah, sure.
So like for example, like a Quicken Loans, right?
Right.
They're like order takers, right?
Right.
So you go through and you get pop, pop, pop.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I would hate that, right?
For sure.
But there's people that's great for them. They don't mind
100%.
paying the extra closing costs. They don't mind having this subpar thing. They get a $500 deposit right up front just to even talk with you, right? It's non-refundable.
Yeah.
And for some people, that's good. Open door. Hey, if you want to lose $40,000, $50,000 on your house right up the jump, but you don't want to have to showings and do it.
Absolutely. No, it's that convenience versus cost, right? And so that's the one thing I have noticed with like these online lenders. If you're someone that knows your shit, you know exactly how amortization works, how your payment works. Like you don't need any direction from a loan officer. Then somebody like me probably isn't going to be a good fit for you.
Employee,
right. If you're W-2, it's plain and simple. Like, yeah, you're filling out an application. It's not that hard. You know what you're approved for. Then sure, I get that.
How many people do you know the answer? But how many people live in Arizona now? I don't know.
Oh God,
a lot, right?
Yeah, a ton.
How about this? You can't serve them all.
I know I can't.
It would be only arrogant and stupid to think you were for everybody. Everybody's for you. You would shoot yourself, and you'd be on the 24-hour suicide watch if you had to serve every customer.
It would be. So the phone would be nonstop.
Yeah, there's a market there, right? So you only need a portion of it. Certain customers want to work with you. Some people don't. Hey, that's okay too.
But I'm a big believer in that, because like everyone, like I really do think everyone can succeed at whatever it is that they want to do. Like even if there's multiple people in that business, because again, there's some people, it's all about the right fit. It's having the right people, and finding the people that you want to work with and want to work with you back. Because I feel like there's enough business for everybody in whatever it is that you're doing.
If you're willing to work for it, like you said.
You're willing to work for it.
And this is kind of a side note, but this is pretty cool for me. So today my brother sent me a picture. He got his pilot's license for the
nice.
Blackhawk, right?
Oh, it's dope.
And so that helicopter is like pretty cool. I don't know enough about it, but it's 2 jet engines and it's not easy to fly.
Right.
And what I told him was like, hey man, it wasn't very long ago. I mean, it seems like yesterday, it was 13 years ago. He was eating cereal at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when he woke up.
Yeah.
And his main mode of transportation was legitimately a skateboard. I'm not trying to be mean to him.
Sure.
That's what it was.
That was a fact.
Hey, that's what was going on. He was couch surfing, kicking it, doing nothing, going nowhere quick. He got in the military. And a lot of people would say, hey, maybe the military's tough, this and that. All of a sudden now he's flying helicopters. And not just like a civilian little helicopter you see at the field, right? This is the biggest, good as it gets.
Blackhawk.
Yeah, you know.
That's badass.
And there was some luck along the way. There were some things, but, you know, he had to go and do things and prove himself. And he had to learn a lot. He had to grow a lot.
100%.
But at the end, he was able to do it.
Right.
You can, so to your point, you can do what you want.
Absolutely.
If you want to.
Yeah. If whatever you set your mind to, like it's absolutely amazing to me what human beings can accomplish if they just stay at it. Like, you know, all these success stories of like any major billionaire book that you read or millionaire, like they refuse to give up. And honestly, the universe will reward people that are just persistent.
Yeah.
Even if you fail or stumble along the way.
The only gripe I have is so many entrepreneurs, right, myself included, arrogant, narcissistic in the sense that you think it's for everybody and it's not.
Yeah.
You know, some people don't want to do that, and that's okay.
Right.
So I get so sick of like this entrepreneur guy that makes, you know, $60,000 a year, but he's not paying his taxes, he's not blah blah blah. And you got somebody over here that works at FedEx and like, well, I could just never work for somebody. Listen, it's not for you, it's not for him.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, you know, not everybody wants to do it, and that's okay. Like, absolutely, dude, that must be nice, honestly, to work at FedEx. Like, I don't have vacations where I can just go on vacation. My phone rings right now; it's on silent because otherwise it'd be blowing up. Right?
Exactly.
You worked at FedEx, you turn your phone off, you go home.
Right.
So it's not for everybody.
100%. No, I had
nor
that,
does it need to be.
No, and I agree because I had that conversation with a buddy of mine. Like he was talking about, you know, he wanted to go to medical school and do this, and like he wanted to be I think it was a physical therapist, right? And he's just like, you know, there's good money, but I know there's better money if I do this, this, and that. And I'm just like, well, dude, it all comes down to what you want to do. Like, you know, as a physical therapist, when you clock out at 5 o'clock for the day, you truly get to clock out. Yeah. Guys like us, we don't ever get to clock out. That phone is always ringing. Like,
and if it's not, you're thinking.
Exactly.
I'm at the gym. It's 6 o'clock. You're supposed to be watching TV with your, you know, significant other.
And that's okay that we're all different. Because I'm like you. Like, I don't know how to sit still. Like, it drives me crazy. Like, I can spend a day or whatever, you know, relaxing. You know, we've all had our hangovers, but for the most part, I need to be doing something to make me happy. That's just how I'm built, and I don't know how to do it any other way.
Sure. And why would you? Why would you
absolutely.
Want to, you know?
And I feel like we kind of, you know, those types of people tend to attract each other because they can tell when someone else is like,
stupidity.
Right, exactly. It's like we don't know why we do this,
company,
but we do it anyway.
Misery breeds company. You know, we're all just for punishment. You know, is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, there's very few people too. Like I have a couple friends that are very wealthy from this path. You know, I have friends and clients that have just inherited money. That's a different story. Nothing against them. It's just a different story. You know, they were kind of born on third base, right? And so they never hit a triple, right? But like, I've got friends that were in the parking lot, ended up on home base, and they made a bunch of money. But that's not most people, right? And so that's the other misconceiving thing about this entrepreneur, self-employed. It's not all that great. No, it's not. And most people, especially self-employed folks, are really bad at math. As bad as that is, they do what I call self-employed math. You know, it's like contractors, for example, all the time. Man, I made $1,200 yesterday. Okay, hey, that's good. My attorney didn't make $1,200, so good for you. How much you make tomorrow and yesterday? Yeah. So now you made $1,200 this week. That's still not bad. You can live on that comfortably, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, now hold on. You made $1,200 for the last 2 weeks. That's $600 a week. Well, FedEx is a little better than that. Now you made it for the month. Right. So most self-employed people, okay, I made this much this day. You can't think of it like that. No. It's how much did you do over time, over the, you know. Yep. And so it's if you get and become self-employed for the money, you're doing it. It's not going to work.
No, absolutely. You have to do it
to work for somebody.
No, I agree. Cool, because I had to go through that transition. Now, you know, and I'm not self-employed. I'm in commission-only sales. But you know, my wife is more self-employed as a real estate agent. You get paid when I bought those loans? Exactly. I only get paid when you get a loan.
More bourbon. Let me drink some more of this stuff for free.
I'm still technically W-2, but it's all commission. Oh, okay. Right. Well, the downside of commission only is they tax the shit out of you.
Yeah, you guys get hosed, but you get write-offs.
I don't.
Oh, because you're W-2. I'm not a CPA, so I won't try to.
So absolutely. That's why I have to do all my other side businesses because those are my write-offs.
All the illegal car flipping.
Exactly, right. So no, the wife, she's got her business, and so. But I remember when I left from a standard position where at the bank where I was making an hourly wage and getting paid every single week, and my wife had a corporate job over at Edward Jones, and we were on different pay schedules, so we had a paycheck every single Friday, no matter what, right? Even if you call in sick, that's a sick day. I don't get sick days anymore.
No.
She doesn't get sick days. And so when we
And then
transition from that,
401k pension, which pensions
right.
don't exist anymore, but 401k and stuff.
401ks and stuff. So, and that's the other thing. You have to start investing in yourself,
yeah.
self-funding those things. When you work for someone else, all of that just kind of happens. But it was a really interesting transition for us because we just, I tend to just jump into things without really thinking about it.
Leap and hope the net will appear.
Exactly. So like I was done at the bank. I hated it. I had already told my boss to fuck off basically. And I put in my 2 weeks and I was like, I'm going to get into this mortgage gig. I didn't even have my license at that point. I was like, well, I'll get my license. I'll figure it out. And so I remember that transition of like, okay, we had a steady paycheck literally every single Friday. And yeah, like you said, 1 month, awesome. We made 50 grand, but then the next month you make, $5. Like it's just this yo-yo effect. And I'm like, oh, it's not steady. Like it's just a whole different way of doing things. And so it's hard to go from one to the other. So, but once you kind of figure it out and, I feel like, yeah, for me, I'd much rather, I told my wife I could never, ever go back to like a 9-to-5 gig. Like I'll work 100 hours a week before I have to go back to a 40-hour-a-week job.
I've been contemplating it, right? But the problem is every time I do the math, and I'm not talking about just money wise. Yeah. Like now, if you said, hey, do you want to go snowboarding, which is a little early in the year for that, but like go name it next Monday, I could go.
Absolutely. Right.
If you work for somebody, you got to raise your hand and go to the bathroom. And so that's what I have against it. I'm not saying it's not a bad thing for everybody. Do your thing. Like if that's for you.
I've done it before. It wasn't for me personally.
And I would make more money working for somebody than I do for myself. And the reason is because they would make me go to work.
Right, exactly. they're going to force you to.
They wouldn't let me off at 1 o'clock to drink with you, They would say, hey, you got to stay until 5, do your thing afterwards.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different breed of people, man. But it's but again, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I think there are a lot of people that are curious that are in that space, like that maybe are wanting to do it but don't know how. And so that's one of the other reasons I do this. I like to share kind of what we've learned along the way.
I've been telling people this lately, and somebody else told me, right? Like I consider myself broke. I have more money than some people. I have a lot less than most or other people, right? So but I consider myself broke, right? Mm-hmm. So if I take a risk, and let's say it puts a lot of my money or assets on the table, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, man, you're going to risk that? I can always go back and be broke.
Right.
Like going and being broke isn't going anywhere.
Absolutely.
I can always go be broke, right? And
100%.
That's the thing. It's like so many people like, man, I got this job, and I've been working here, and now I'm at $24 an hour. Don't get me wrong. That's good.
Right.
I bet you could go back to it though. So if you come out, fail,
right,
hate the entrepreneurial life,
they'll take you back.
You in and out's got like, I think $17 some an hour now.
For sure.
So you can always be poor.
Absolutely.
What are you risking? What are you losing?
Yeah. And that's my thought process. Yeah. It's like, why wouldn't I want to do this? And for me, like, I don't really know any other way. Some people see it as risk. They see it as that, but I don't. Like, it's just, I'm living my life. I'm doing what I want to do. Sometimes I make good money. Sometimes I don't. It's just, that's part of the game.
But the money's just a byproduct. And that's what people don't understand that are self-employed, right? It's collateral damage, right? It is an accident that happens if you provide good value and service to the world.
Right.
And so that's the thing is, if you were thinking, like, if somebody was there and said, okay, I'm thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. I want to start my own, name it, right?
Yeah.
Thing is like, if you want to start a dog groomer, there's a lot of people out there that are getting really poor service, getting their dog's haircut done, myself included.
Yeah.
So if you start one, let me know. But, the thing is, you could be better serving those people. And even if you made the same amount of money and you got to do something good, get to the bad part.
Right.
Now, what if you did something good and got to get paid and rewarded for your efforts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the money is a collateral. It's a byproduct of putting out good value in the world,
Now, it's interesting how that works. I've read a ton of books on this, but I finally got to kind of experience it for myself. When you stop putting the money first and you just focus on what you love, the money just kind of happens. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. Like, it just does.
Yeah.
But when you focus on it, if that's all you care about, you will go broke. Like
100%.
You absolutely will.
And the thing about it is, right, like, I don't want to get into the evolution creation debate because I don't care. But the point is at some point, let's call it, in the back of our head, you had like a little piece of meat and I had a little piece of bread. And we had to be able to trust each other. We're going to make this transition. You're not going to kill me in the process 10 million years ago, zillion years ago. Well, we still have that. Absolutely. And so if I, as a contractor, show up at somebody's house and, oh, yeah, we're going to do this and this and this. And then all I'm going to do is get the job and either leave and not come back, which a lot of people do, right? Get the deposit. That's a great move. High profit margin, 100% profit margin. Don't return with the
Take the check and bounce.
Yeah. Or, I'm like, okay, we'll get in here real cheap and then we'll just change it as we go.
Yeah.
People can read that. Not everybody. Some people can't. But, a lot of times people are going to see that. You're not going to get anything.
Right.
You come in with your best foot forward, and then if that person wants to work with you and you want to work with them and it works out, that's great. And if it doesn't, It happens to me all the time.
Well,
you
and
know,
you-
they
and you
found
can't-
somebody else.
yeah.
And honestly, they might be better. I'm not the best.
Well, and honestly, you can't take that stuff personally,
No.
especially as like, you know, when you're your own person. And I get that way too. Like, you know, I just lost a deal today. Like someone was really upset about, you know, how expensive my fees were and my rates were. And I said, well, you know, I'd love an opportunity to, you know, see if I can get it to where you want. And they said, no, it's, you know, I don't think that that's fair. These guys already quoted me something cheaper, so I'm going to go with them. And I'm
But-
like, it is what it is.
Yeah, hey, and
I don't
hopefully
take
that's
it
true. It's
right.
probably
I hope
not,
it's true.
but hopefully
And that's
it's
my
probably
whole
not.
thing.
And if they're gonna fall for it,
I wanted to educate them because there are a
Yeah.
lot of shady people out there that will tell you whatever
more
you
than
want to
not.
hear.
Yeah.
And I'm not that guy. I'd rather be upfront and be like, look, I'd rather overquote you and then
Yeah.
have it be cheaper than underquote you and have it be more expensive. And that's
Sure.
just how I work.
Well,
And
what a waste
again-
of time if you sit here and say, hey, if I call you and say, hey, I got this terrible credit score.
Right.
I just quit my job yesterday. You go, hey, let's get together on. I fill all the paperwork. About, you know it's not going to work.
Yeah,
What's
right,
you're wasting
yeah.
your time. You're wasting my time.
You're wasting everybody's
As
time.
opposed to, hey, let me go and have it. Maybe that person has a bad experience or a good experience there.
Right.
But they remember you. Hey, call this guy. It wasn't a good fit for me. That happens all the time.
Absolutely.
I'll go look at a job. The neighbor referred me. Like, we didn't even do nothing for him. You know, oh yeah,
Right.
you know, it wasn't a good fit there. But and then I do the
There
next
you go.
neighbors.
Absolutely. Well, and honestly, that's why I really was. So number one, the way I found you was through social media. So you
Craigslist.
no, it
No,
was
I'm kidding. No.
social media, man.
It
It
was
was
Tinder.
it was yeah, it was
Grindr.
Tinder. It was definitely Grinder. No, I'm just kidding. But no, like I saw you were posting stuff and like, and it wasn't even anything super construction specific, but you were active on like the Go Gilbert and the Chandler pages, like, you know,
Trolling. That's
trolling
I troll on there,
people.
so I-
Oh, you do. But
Yeah,
but I
sorry.
love that stuff
Sorry,
because
Go Gilbert.
I think it's hilarious because people take that shit so serious. I'm like, this guy just loves to trigger people. I was like, I need to
Yeah.
call
I
this
gotta
guy.
stop doing that though, because I hate trolls. But then I'm one. It's like traffic, right? You
Right,
hate traffic,
yeah.
but you're part of the problem.
But you're part of the problem,
Yeah,
right?
so, yeah.
But anyway, so like that's how I found you. I was like, yeah, let me call this guy. I'll get a quote. And it was funny, like you were saying, like I came over, I knew I wanted a bar, and I was all in. Like honestly, like I had a number in my head as far as where I wanted to spend it, and I didn't say this out loud, but I was like, you were actually under what was in my
I
head.
always wonder that, like, because you don't want to like leave. The truth is, I just charge what I charge. I don't
Right.
know if it's too little or too much.
Right,
But
right.
you always wonder, how leave money on the table? Like people say, don't leave money on the table, you know,
Yeah.
which is good because if I'm happy and you're happy, that's the win.
Right, right.
But I always wonder, like, if somebody had like other quotes, I'm like, I wonder what the other quote was.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
I wonder
like,
what those
how much
look
did
like.
I miss that by, or you know, because sometimes we're too expensive. But sometimes
you were less than what I had budgeted
Yeah.
in my head for, and so I was just like, and so that's honestly why I didn't even shop anybody else. I was like, this guy, like because you know me, I had a stupid little handwritten drawing of what I wanted this thing to look like, and you were like, yeah, we could do that. Came out fucking amazing.
But you did
like,
some of this yourself. You did this.
yeah, I
We
did
didn't
that.
do that.
Yeah, I did that. I
So
did
see,
these
this
in
is a
the
DIY
on the
project.
shelves. Part of it's DIY.
Ray did the Rubik's Cube
yeah,
too.
I did the Rubik's Cube. So
Can you do it?
I put the tap in myself.
Can you do a Rubik's Cube?
I can, yeah,
Yeah?
absolutely, yeah,
I have to follow the thing, but I can do it.
yeah.
I have to follow those pictures.
It's just a little formula. It's not
It's
too
an
bad.
algorithm, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the fastest guy in the world can do it in 8 seconds. I got to where I could do it in
That
about
I
10
don't
minutes.
understand because I have to
Max
like.
Parks is his name.
Well, there's true geniuses out there. Like
That's
I'm,
him, yeah.
yeah, I'm following steps,
Good.
right? But there's geniuses that can look at it and they know exactly what piece is
This
supposed to
piece
go
goes
where,
here,
and
which
so they
moves
just
6 pieces in the
right.
process,
So
yeah.
they just do it.
Yeah,
I don't have a brain like that, so
Fighting with an unfair advantage.
right. But no, so like it brings me back to like the marketing and the honesty. Like number one, I found you through just social media marketing, and number two, like you had a quote that was, you know, it was under what I had wanted, and so to me, it's just like I keep that emotion out of it. Like
But
I
how
had
about
it in my
this too,
head,
right?
and I
Okay,
go.
so like, how about this though? And this is another kind of thing, right? So as business owners, you know,
Yeah.
You shopped with me,
Mhm.
right? I didn't know your damn name, right?
It's true. Yeah.
Since then, I did how many mortgages with you? And I hate to
Oh,
even because
man.
I got a lot of
Yeah,
friends
we've
that are mortgage
done-
officers. But no, so I did.
At least 4.
Okay, so personally,
Yeah,
4
personally.
mortgages, right?
Yeah, at least
And
4
then I referred
personally.
you a few people.
Oh, you've referred me at least that many, if not more. Probably.
So not only did I
5 or
build this
6.
bar, I paid for it.
Yeah, exactly. This
So
guy's paid for my
I
bar.
paid for
Cheers,
it.
yeah.
You know, hey, where's this free? I'm gonna take the bottle. With
Get
me.
the top
Yeah.
shelf sit.
But so, like, as a business owner, that's a thing too, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes, like, okay, you know, my mechanic, he was more expensive than a lot of people, but I
Mm-hmm.
would go there, and then he remodeled his house with me, right?
There you go.
It backfeeds, right?
100%.
And then, so that
Network.
can be, network. Your net worth is your network, right?
It absolutely
And
is.
so it backfeeds, and so you
Mhm.
want to work with quality people.
Mhm.
Sometimes cheap is very expensive in the end,
I agree.
right? So you could have got the low budget, blah blah blah. Not only would they not got 4 mortgages, but this thing could have fallen apart by now, or flooded your old basement. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? For example, right? And I hate to be worst case scenario.
Just ask Richmond American who built this house. We had a lot of shit that has not gone. They've had to redo our master bathroom. They had to completely gut and redo. They've had to redo the floors twice. They've probably
It's job
spent
security though.
right.
They need to keep people busy, man.
They've probably spent at least $50,000 out of pocket just in repairs on this home because
Right.
it wasn't done correctly up front.
And how many mortgages they buy? And they got a lot more customers than me. See,
exactly.
I need more shout outs. I need to be tagged in everything.
Use Travis. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Travis is your man.
High profit jobs only.
That's right.
But that's the thing is, like, you know, it just backbeats, and that's a pretty cool thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, don't be afraid to work with another quality professional, because the thing is too, like, I don't know if you can quantify it or put a number to it, but you have a lot of people in your group, right?
Absolutely.
Like how many people you've served.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, you work in an office with folks,
mm-hmm.
and they all have somebody they work with.
Absolutely.
And you work with a lot of realtors.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I could go out and spend $1 bazillion to try to network and get that many people myself.
Right.
Or I could just do a decent job here. And now that realtor that signed up with Mortgages You anyways calls, says, hey, I got to, even if it's something silly, I need a Benzer done.
Right.
We do that.
Benzer work.
Hey, we need a roof done. Hey, we can do that.
For sure.
And now I'm getting all that free advertising, marketing, and I'm at home. Right. You're doing all that for me. Right?
Absolutely.
So that's how it backfeeds.
Because you did a good job for me. Like, I'll be the first one. Anytime anyone asks for a contractor, no matter what it is, how big or how small, I'm just like, call my guy Travis. Like, I honestly don't have anybody else on my list because you're my guy. Like, you're the one that I call all the time. Because again, you're sending me business. I want to reciprocate that. I like the way you work. I feel like we do well together. So
and I appreciate that. So that's super cool. You know,
mm-hmm.
It works out well for both of us.
Absolutely. So, and that's the name of the game, right? It's just, you know, it's doing what you love, and then constantly.
But then on the flip side, right? If you do something good for somebody, they'll tell one person, right? But then if you do something bad, they're gonna tell 10.
100%.
You know.
So and that'll happen, right? Because we're humans. You know, I've made mistakes on your loans. We've had issues.
I've made mistakes and blamed you for it.
Absolutely.
What's your the person that works is Amanda?
Amanda, yeah.
Okay, so I've been so mad at her so many times, and I'm sure it's just because I'm a dickhead, for lack of better words, right? But you know, I'm like, oh, this 11th hour stuff. Why didn't you?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And she's so nice, and so she's like, you know, your scapegoat. I just realized that you need to.
She is.
All right, so I hope she hears this because you get all the credit for some reason, and she's doing all the work.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, Amanda's
see.
doing all the work, and that's fair. No, it is.
I cracked your business model here.
You cracked my model. So. No, it is. That's the next step of it, right? Is, you know, hiring the right people that are going to do the work. Because again, there's a lot of parts of my job that I don't like to do. The same reason that you subcontract, right? You didn't come in here and install this sink yourself.
You can't be good at everything. Only a true arrogant person.
You didn't put these counters in yourself. Of course not, no. But so same idea.
Yeah.
You're the face. You're the name of the business, and you know the right people to make it all happen. Same idea, just on a financial side.
Getting the client better served. I would save more money if me and some in-house guys did this, but
100%.
it would look like me and some in-house guys did it.
Right.
Instead of having a professional shop, which I use Desert Sky, but Surfaces and Mesa. But you know, basically,
they did so good.
Yeah, they're awesome. You know, I'm still using them today. You know, and I've spent $1 zillion with those folks.
Oh, man. Well, not only that, like the service. So to me, it's more about just the overall cost. Like, I really do care about that service portion of it.
Yeah.
The service, quality, and cost. You have to look at all three of those. But again, I still remember the day they came and brought these countertops in, because they explained to me exactly how they were going to do it.
This is also downstairs, by the way.
Yeah, this is in my basement. Yeah, this is a lot. This was a lot of stuff. I mean, this was at least 3 slabs I think we needed for this thing. But they came in and they told me like how to treat it. Like, okay, it needs to rest. Like they gave me very clear instructions on how to treat it as soon as it was done installed. And that's been able, you know, luckily I've been able to keep it nice, and you know, it's in good shape because of that. But
I think Enterprise, right, the guy that started, which I used to love Enterprise. They've become a lot more corporate.
They're the rent-a-car place.
Yeah. So basically the way it worked was Budget, or one of the big ones, was them. And the guy started with like one car, and he's like, how can I be different? And I got one car and they got a zillion of them, right?
Yeah.
And so he was like, I'm going to give the best possible. And now Enterprise is the dominant name in the rental car space.
It absolutely is.
Put your client's best interest first, and whatever you're trying to accomplish will happen.
I agree.
You know, that's just the way it is.
No, I agree. Yeah, you got to put the clients first, and then the rest will fall into place. And then it's that hard work that goes with it. Like, if you know at the end of the day that you're putting your best foot forward, you're doing the best that you can, and you continue to do that day after day. It's a stupid quote. We hear it all the time, but the harder you work, the luckier you get.
The luckier you get. Yeah. There's a word for finding luck, serendipity.
Yeah, so absolutely.
But
but I do think luck is a big part of it. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things that have kind of fallen my way. But again, if I wasn't in that position doing that work at that time, I wouldn't have been able to receive that, if that makes sense.
So like Bill Gates, right? He is one of X amount of high school people. Let's say it was like, you know, 30 million high schoolers at the time, or whatever the case was.
Yeah.
And so it was like, he went to the only high school that had a computer, right?
Okay.
So he was one in like 30 million.
Right.
Or whatever the case was. And I'm reading a book right now that's called The Psychology of Money. And it was talking about using Bill Gates specifically. And the thing about it is, yeah, without good fortune or whatever, he couldn't do or have done what he did.
Right.
Now, his buddy that was actually, Bill Gates says, was smarter than him,
Mm-hmm.
died that year in a mountain climbing accident.
Oh man.
And so your odds of having been at the school and blah, blah, blah was 1 in 30 million. But it was like
Yeah.
your odds of being a high schooler that died in a mountain climbing accident was 1 in like 300 million, right?
Right.
So good luck, bad luck happens to both. But if you try
Right.
to keep putting yourself consistently in a good spot,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it'll happen.
I agree.
You know,
Well, and I'm a big believer in mindset too. Like you have to, I feel like if you want something, if you're going to go after it, you have to go after it in a manner where you believe that it's going to happen. And I really believe that, like, because I feel like there's
do
so
you
many
have
people.
a vision board?
I don't have a vision
Then what
board.
are you talking about?
I know. It's because I'm all up here.
You
I have it in my head.
But if you're gonna, you should put it there.
That's true. I should write it. No, I do write a lot of things down. Like I have a journal that I keep
Yeah.
a lot of. I have a million different journals. I have like one for all my social media ideas,
Sure.
one for business ideas, one for non-mortgage ideas. Like I do write in a journal a lot, and that's kind of what. And then I try to focus on like 3 main things a day. It's like, okay, here's my 3 main things. I have to get these done no matter what, and then I pick something new the next day. So
how much time do we have? Do we have time to tell you a funny story?
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay, so
man.
the issue is another one of these, right? Because they can all learn from them.
I
Be
love it.
careful what you wish for, because it might happen. So I used to go to
Yeah.
Saguaro Lake all the time, right?
Okay.
And I used to actually take girls there. We'd stop and get some tall cans, it's all I had money for. And we'd
Yeah.
sit on top that overlooked the marina. And I would tell these girls, oh, one day I'm going to have a boat at that marina, right? And then we'd go back to my place. I rented a room at a place, right? And I would go on my laptop and I would look at these boats, and they'd come over and be like, oh, I'm just looking at boats. One day I'm going to have one of these boats.
Yeah.
So now that I've had 8 boats, right?
Right.
So one day I'm sitting there at the lake on this boat that I just wanted so bad, like thought about at that time.
Yeah.
I ended up with this piece of shit bayliner. If you know anything about boats, bayliner's not the top of the knot,
No,
right?
it's
and it's
definitely
actually
not.
kind of the bottom of the line. And so it was a cabin cruiser, so you could sleep on it, had AC and stuff,
Okay.
but it was this big lethargic, floating piece of fiberglass that was all. But I was so happy to have it. And then I realized I wanted this 7 years ago. And then I realized at that time, why didn't I ask God for a bigger boat? Like I spent all this time and effort for this little boat.
Right. Yeah. I should have thought bigger.
If you're going to dream
big.
2 things. Number 1, believe in it.
Yeah.
Right. Number 2, it will and can happen. But number 3,
Mhm.
get the right thing going. And so many people do that. Oh, I just wish
Yeah.
I had this job. And the CEO of Bed Bath & Beyond just jumped off a skyscraper the other day, in
Jesus
New York.
Christ. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah. And I am sure at some point he dreamt for that job. I bet you he wanted that really bad. Right?
Absolutely.
And then once he got it, he realized not all the glitter is gold, not so glamorous. So be careful what you ask for, because you probably
fair.
could get it and will get it.
Right.
And ask for a bigger boat, and then invite me and bring bourbon.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
So, anyway.
No, and that's I've got an uncle. So I've got a little poster over here that says the best view comes from the hardest climb, and so this uncle of mine, he had this dream to climb the 7 summits, the 7 highest peaks in the world.
Yeah.
With the last one obviously being Mount Everest, and so he got through 6 of them. He got to the top of all of them. He's very successful tech guy out in he lives out in Utah. And he always talked about that, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. Well, same thing, be careful what you wish for. So he made it to the top of Mount Everest. He's still there.
Oh, really? He died on Everest.
He died on the top of Mount Everest.
That's terrible.
So
I'm sorry to hear that.
No,
At the same
absolutely.
time,
But
it's an inspiring story.
It is really inspiring, because this guy did have an amazing life, and he still continues to inspire others through a lot of the things that he
Have you
did
read
in his
Into the
career.
Air by John Krakauer?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
I want
so
to read that.
You're fucking up. You
Yeah,
gotta read that.
I know. I got to read that.
That's a good book. But
Yeah.
what's crazy is what's harder than climbing the 7 summits is
Mhm.
climbing the second 7. So the second are harder than the first 7. So they're
Right.
higher, but they're not. But what's
Mhm.
crazy is Everest isn't the hardest. So that's surprising. If he could do the
Yeah.
other ones, they were harder.
Yeah, it was just
It's just Everest is higher.
It's higher, and so I think it was just the lack of
But
oxygen.
bad weather, it happens quick there.
Bad weather can happen,
And there's no rescue. You might as well be on the moon, like in that book.
Absolutely.
You might as well be on the moon.
No, absolutely. There's nothing they can do. They have their Sherpas that help them up, and they resuscitated him twice. But
Amanda's your Sherpa.
Amanda's my Sherpa.
Because here's the thing, right? Like the Sherpas go up and down all the time.
Every day.
And like American, English, let's just say a white person goes up, and all of a sudden it's like noteworthy. These guys have been doing it all season.
I
He
know,
gets no
right?
credit. He's like, I did that twice yesterday.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And so, at any rate, it's the ones in the background that are actually the ones of value. So, Amanda,
So true. And what's crazy is like, it's and like the amount of money it costs to like just climb something like that. Like,
it used to be about 100,000. I'm sure that's
it's
3
probably
or 4 times.
it's probably
now.
more than that.
Yeah.
But and this guy had wild dreams. So after he wanted to climb the 7 summits, he had a goal to sail the 7 seas himself. Like he wanted to go sailing all the seas, but unfortunately it didn't make it. But cool guy's name is
and
Don.
he had unlimited money, or what was the?
Yeah, he was very successful. His name was Don Cash. He started. He got going with like a startup tech company, And then it got bought out by Adobe,
Okay.
and they made him their CFO.
Oh,
He was
okay.
one of their top guys, but it was like a multi-million-dollar buyout
Sure.
that he got. And then when he got, he was amazing at Adobe, and then he went to another company that was like a multinational or worldwide tech company, and he was running that. So yeah, super successful dude. Built this badass house out in Utah.
Right on.
Big car guy, like he's just like a guy's guy, like cars, all kinds of fun stuff.
We would all be that if we had the money. Problem is we're limited by this finite resource.
We're limited, right?
Cash, it's
but
too
but
hard
no,
to manage
so
without all the fun stuff.
But I can't. The reason I thought of that is I came across an old video where he got interviewed by, it was like an intern at Adobe at the time. They were just interviewing him in his house, just asking him questions about his career, and he talked about a lot of the same stuff. He's just like, you got to dream big, you got to work hard. Like it's all the same formula. Like you read enough of these books, it's kind of all the same stuff. You just have to find what it is that makes you happy and just go out and do it. Like I don't really know how. It's that simple. It really is.
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of people, like, you would recognize if you play golf. Like Ben Hogan is probably one of the best golfers ever.
Hell
He was in the 50s, and they didn't have all the technology and stuff.
Right.
Good golf swing comes out of the dirt. You ain't going to read books. You're not going to Hank Haney and Butch Harmon, all these things to get away from a good golf swing.
Practice.
You're going to go and practice and swing and fail. You know how many fucking balls these guys have hit in the water? You know? The problem is we show up and you hit a bad shot and you go, nah! Like you think you're going to be a pro.
Right.
I played golf with a pro one time. We probably hit a couple hundred balls a day, a couple thousand.
Jesus,
and he's a sports psychologist, and he was 21. Great shape, worked out.
Yeah.
Golf was his whole life. He's not even somebody that, if I said his name, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, wouldn't know who he is.
Yeah, and so that's what it takes too. That discipline,
for sure.
And then the consistency.
No, honestly, and that's one thing I've learned about myself in the past year. Right, going through my weight loss transformation, like I didn't really drastically change the way I live my life. Like I'm just doing kind of one extra thing a day. Like I make sure to work out once a day. It's an hour out of my day. It's not that big a deal.
Overachiever.
Some days it's a half hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah, no, I know what you
but
mean.
No, it's just, I feel like and in the beginning it seemed really hard. Like it seemed like it's something that was really tough, but I mean, I lost 50 pounds. It's
crazy because you don't even look like the same.
It's crazy, right? I know. I told.
Where's your Sherpa?
I know. I told Kayla, my other Sherpa, Kayla. Kayla, we need a new photo.
You're going to be the Sherpa. They're going to have the podcast outside.
I know, right? But no, it's just like, and I realize that's all it is. It's just daily little things. And what was hard before is just like part of my day now. Like I don't really think about it. Like I know I'm waking up and working out, and then I move on. And it's like, I honestly don't even remember my workout this morning because it's part of my day now. And if you can find something like that that's going to be positive, that's going to help you reach whatever goal you're trying to do, and you just put it into practice daily, eventually it's just going to come to fruition.
What's the best diet in the world?
No, I don't fucking know.
That one that you'll stick to.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And so it's just like anything, if you can get whatever, people, I don't even care whatever diet. I'm not doing diets,
No,
but
I don't diet either.
I think like if you were going to get one, as long as you stuck with it, they're all going to be pretty good.
Oh, absolutely.
Within a range of 5%, it's like working out. You could go and get a personal trainer.
Right.
That'll be 5 or 10% better. But guess what? If you go once a week with a personal trainer, or you go 4 times by yourself, you're going to get more results on the 4 times.
You will.
Just what it is.
Absolutely. No, I agree. No, it's good stuff, man. So, well, this was good. I think we're
out of whiskey. That's one.
We're out of whiskey,
this place sucks.
So we gotta wrap it up and pour some more drinks. So, but Travis, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
This is a lot of fun. So, I got a renovation class coming up. I'm gonna have this guy help host as well, so we can.
Will there be bourbon?
There will be bourbon.
There's
always bourbon. Even in my office in Gilbert, I have bourbon everywhere. But thank you guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties in the beginning, but you guys have a great rest of the day.